Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new smartphone gimbal review video. This time I've got my hands on the new MOZA Mini MX. It's foldable, it looks a different shape than most smartphone gimbals on the market at the moment, and it only costs $89. So let's see if this thing is actually any good. When you receive the gimbal, you will obviously get the gimbal itself, a wrist strap, a USB to USB-C charging cable, a tripod, a carry case, and the instructions. When we look at the gimbal, we can really see they have thought about the new design and form factor. And like I said, what makes this gimbal so unique is that it's actually foldable and it packs down so small, perfect to put in a bag and go traveling with. The folded design is around 14 centimeters wide and 18 centimeters tall, with a thickness of about 5 centimeters. And when it's folded, they have now even added these locks on each axis, so it holds its shape even when packed down. Previous gimbals didn't have this and it just flopped around, which was really frustrating. So these locks are a really nice touch. So when it's unfolded, the size is around 30 centimeters tall, and if you're wondering, the gimbal weighs around 400 grams. The gimbal has a clamp to hold your phone and it can take a payload of up to 280 grams. And the battery states that it can last for 24 hours, which is crazy that it can last that long. No one's going to need it to last 24 hours, but it basically means that you can keep using this thing without the worry of it dying midway through a day, or if you're going to go on a weekend trip or something, that this battery is going to last you for the whole time. And another design choice which I really like is that the tripod now fits in a new position on the back of the gimbal. And when I first saw that the new position of this tripod was on the back of the gimbal, not on the end of the handle, I was a little bit confused and I was a little bit unsure, but the more I've used it, the more I actually really like this new design setup for a few reasons. Previously, on older smartphone gimbals where the tripod fitted in the end of the handle, I always felt like they were a bit wobbly and I was always scared that it was going to fall over and break my phone. Now, with this new tripod position, it lowers the center of gravity and it seems a lot more stable. Also now, with this tripod in its new position, it means operating this gimbal is a lot easier. By adding this second point of contact makes the gimbal movement a lot smoother. And obviously the main purpose of a gimbal is to get those smooth shots. So by holding the gimbal like this and paired with ninja walking makes for some really smooth shots. And if you just thought to yourself, what on earth is ninja walking? It's just a way to walk heel to toe with bent knees, which really helps to take out any slight walking bounce you might get when you're just walking normally. And to show you, here's a side-by-side comparison so you can see the handheld shot on the left and the MOZA Mini MX shot on the right. And I'll leave it up to you to choose which one looks better. And actually, one more thing, if we remove the tripod, we can now use this area for some accessories. So if you have a Bluetooth microphone or a light, we can actually attach these right here. This makes the gimbal even more versatile, and having the position where it is now means your hands won't get in the way when you're operating it. And pretty much the new final design point I wanted to show you is that this new shape has a slight sloped arm along the back and is actually quite a low profile when we look at it against the actual phone. It doesn't stick out too far because older gimbals, previous gimbals, seem to have a big chunky motor which kind of got in the way of the camera's lens, where this one doesn't do that. So it can even cope with the ultra wide lens on my iPhone without that back arm getting into shot. It can even cope with lenses and filters you might have attached to your phone, like this Sandmark anamorphic lens. But obviously you just have to make sure that the total weight doesn't weigh more than the max 280 gram payload capacity. And to get the most out of this gimbal, you'll probably want to pair it with their app, which you can download, and it is called Moza Genie. This app gives you lots of features and controls that the built-in camera app probably doesn't offer you. So when you first launch the app and turn the gimbal on, which is done by the power button on the front of the handle, you have to allow Bluetooth and allow the app access to your phone to be able to use your camera and your mic. You also have to register the app by supplying your email address and waiting for a verification code. Personally, I didn't really like the fact that I had to register the app. I just wanted to turn the gimbal on and start using it, but obviously once you've done this process once, you don't have to do it again. And I'll carry on talking about the app in a minute. So on the front of the handle you will see there are a few buttons, and when the gimbal is on, a single press of the power button will start and stop recording or take a picture, depending if you are on video or photo mode on your phone. A double press of the same button will switch between video and photo mode. A triple press will switch the phone between portrait and landscape mode, which is such a quick and easy way of doing this, and is perfect if you want to switch from filming content to making some Instagram stories. Next to the power button there are two other buttons. If you click the plus once, it will go to pan tilt mode, meaning it will pan left and right and up and down. If we press the plus once again, it will go back to pan follow, meaning it will pan left and right and not up and down. If we hold the plus button down, it will start to zoom in and stop when you let go. Or a double press of the plus button will automatically zoom in to maximum. And the minus button does the opposite. Holding it down will zoom out until you let go, and a double press of the button will zoom out all the way automatically. By clicking the minus button once, the gimbal will go into FPV mode, meaning it will pan left and right, up and down, and even roll from side to side. This mode can even be used for inception mode. Personally, I'm not really a fan of these shots, as I feel like it makes the viewer feel a little bit sick when watching them. And you can actually use that joystick in any of the modes to help get the phone's position in the position you actually want it. But if the phone gets in a weird position and you can't get it back to normal, the easiest way to sort it out is by double clicking the trigger button on the back. This will recenter the phone and is probably my most used feature. A triple press of the trigger will switch between the rear and front facing camera. A double press and hold is used for sports mode. This will speed up the motors so you can quickly whip your phone around, for instance if you're filming sporting events. And finally, on the operating side of the gimbal, holding the trigger down will put it into all lock mode, meaning the phone will stay in the same position no matter where you move that gimbal. And sometimes I find it a little bit confusing knowing what mode I'm in because there's no actual indications on the gimbal. Sometimes on previous gimbals the LED will flash to indicate which mode you're in, but this gimbal doesn't actually do that. But if you have the app linked, you can just press this button and you can see which mode you are in and quickly change it to a different mode, which personally I think is a lot quicker and easier. And personally I feel like this app gives you a lot more control over your shots than any kind of built-in camera app on your phone. You can easily change your frame rate and quality of the video. Sliding your finger across the screen will add some filters. And if you go into the settings, you can change even more things. For instance, aspect ratio, or even turn on anti-shake, which will slightly crop into your shot to add some digital stabilization. Zebras will allow you to see the exposure of your shot. And we can even turn on manual mode, which will allow us to change exposure, ISO, white balance, and even focus. And personally, I think it's a really good thing that they've added these advanced manual controls direct in their app. Usually the native built-in camera app on your phone doesn't allow you to do any form of changing of exposure or white balance direct in the app. You usually have to pay money for like the Filmic Pro app to have that kind of full advanced control. So having it built into the Moza Genie app is a really good thing. But I feel like most people who are going to be using this gimbal will literally just be pointing and shooting. They won't dive into those manual settings. It's a good thing that it has it, but I feel like most people will literally just hit record, get the shot, and that's it, not dive into those advanced settings. And another feature that this app has is the ability to live stream direct from it. But again, personally, I don't think that many people are going to use this feature, but it's nice that it has it. And another feature that is pretty useful is the ability to do moving time lapses. We can set an in and out point, and then it will automatically create you a time lapse. But I did find that it would slightly drift on the in and out points, and it wouldn't start and stop in the exact points I specified. But overall, you get some pretty good looking shots. This button here, which looks like a half sun, is used for tracking. All you have to do is draw a box around what you want tracked and move the gimbal around, and it will keep it in shot. And this is a feature that I feel like most people will actually want to use. The tracking works really well and is probably the best version I've ever used. I just wish that we could actually choose where that tracking subject is in relation to the actual screen, because it always puts it in the center. I just kind of wish that if I wanted to track a shot on the left hand side or the right hand side, that it would actually stay where that tracking point is, instead of automatically putting it to the middle of the screen. And when tracking, you do just have to be aware that it can sometimes struggle if there's a lot of movement, or if anything goes in front of that tracking point. but having this tracking feature is a really nice touch, especially if you're filming on your own and you want to get some moving shots. And another cool new feature they've added to this app and gimbal is the ability to start and stop recording without actually having to touch the gimbal or the phone itself. They've added a mode called gestures, and all you have to do is throw a peace sign up and it will start recording, or make a fist and that will now stop recording. This gesture mode is really great when we pair it with the tracking mode, as you can now track yourself, start recording by doing the peace sign, walk around using the tracking feature, and then move your hand into the fist position and this will now stop recording. Solo filming has never been this easy. And another new feature that I feel like a lot of people will get a lot of use out of is a new mode called Magic Mode, which will automatically create some really cool short little social media edits automatically with built-in templates within the app. If you click the M on the top of the app, you will now see a bunch of these new templates. You can choose a variety of templates from dynamic, soothe, relax and travel. And once you've chosen a template, all the hard work of positioning and editing is done for you. So all you have to do is follow those prompts on screen and it will make you a cool mini edit. It will do the movements, add music and even the editing. And if you want to get a bit more in depth, the app now has an inbuilt editing system. So you can create and edit your own videos within their app. It even allows you to add filters, effects, music and even templates. To edit within the app, just click the bottom left button, then click the scissors. Click go, and then select the clips you want to edit, and then click the scissors at the bottom again. This is where you can now do your editing. You can scrub through the clips at the bottom, add cuts, filters, and even transitions. So you can now film some incredibly smooth looking footage, edit, and upload direct from your phone. That's very impressive. And if you're wondering, the gimbal actually has native Bluetooth, so like I've been explaining, it will control the actual app direct from the gimbal. But if you don't want to use their actual app, it can now control some of the features in your native camera app or any app that actually uses your camera, for instance Instagram. But I did find using the native camera app or Instagram that it would only start and stop recording. You couldn't use the zoom features or anything, so maybe that will come in time in a new software update. But as it is at the moment, using the native camera app or any app that uses your camera, it would only start and stop recording, which is still pretty useful. So overall, I did really like using this gimbal. There were lots of good points, but there was also some negative points as well. Like I said, I didn't really like the fact that I had to register the app and allow my location to use the app and the gimbal. When I first saw the design of the gimbal, I was slightly unsure about the new position of the tripod, but the more I used it and the more time I spent with it, I actually now really like this new design. It seems far more sturdier when we put it down, and it comes in really useful when we're operating the gimbal. Having that foldable design with those locking axes is really great for traveling and put it in a bag, but when you've got the tripod attached, it isn't actually any smaller. We can obviously unscrew the tripod and we have a tripod and the gimbal, which is a lot smaller. We could put this in our carry case, but if you have the tripod attached, it's still pretty big. But one thing to note is that older gimbals, when the tripod went onto the end of the handle, it was a lot bigger itself. So this is actually a little bit smaller than kind of the older original looking gimbals. We just take this off and it's small again. But being a gimbal, all we really care about is getting those smooth shots, and the shots it gets is actually really good. You do get a slight wobble in the shot if you're walking normally or if you're running, but if you walk softly, you can get rid of most of that. The app is really well improved since their previous versions, allowing even more control. And having that magic mode to quickly and easily share content is a really great touch. And now having the ability to edit within the app again is a really nice feature. And there we have it, this is now my new favourite smartphone gimbal, and for the price of only $89, I really don't think that you can go wrong with this. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, I will link it in the description down below. I really hope that you found this video interesting and informative. If you have, please give it a big fat thumbs up. And until next time, keep on creating.